In this video, I'm going to show you how to figure out the e-commerce Google Ads bidding strategy that maximizes profit for your business. Hi, I'm Daryl, and over at my PPC agency BigFlair, we've been managing millions of dollars of e-commerce ad spend for almost 10 years now. My team and I have developed a simple system that we use to maximize actual profit for our clients, and that is what I'm going to show you today. Don't worry, because despite having the potential to make millions of dollars in profit for your biz, the system is actually surprisingly straightforward. Now, before we dive in though, let me ask you this one question. What's the main KPI that you are measuring right now in Google Ads? Maybe for you, it's return on ad spend, or perhaps you're focused more on revenue? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so this may sound like a dumb question, but before we start, we should really clarify the answer to the question, what is profit? There's a few different ways to calculate profit, so first, let's be super clear on which calculation we are most concerned with. For our intents and purposes, in this video, when I'm talking about profit, I'm referring to profit equals to revenue minus COGS minus other variable costs minus ad spend. A simpler way to look at this would be your profit is your revenue minus any variable costs that vary depending on revenue generated. Basically, when we are talking about profit in this context, we want to exclude your fixed costs such as office space, warehousing, employee salaries, etc. Those fixed costs do not vary in direct and immediate proportion to your sales volume. And so what we really want to maximize here is your profit after variable costs like ad spend and COGS. If we can maximize this type of profit, and if as a separate task, you also make sure to keep your fixed costs as reasonable as you can, then between those two things, we'll be maximizing net profit in your biz. Now that we've defined profit, we need to talk about the revenue ROAS conundrum. It's common for me to speak to e-commerce business owners who always equate a higher return on ad spend, or ROAS, with good. A 6x ROAS is always better than a 3x ROAS, right? Or so the thinking goes. On the surface of it, if all other things are equal, then yeah, that does ring true, that a higher ROAS is always better. The problem is though that with Google Ads, it's never the case that all other things are equal. In order to achieve a higher ROAS, you need to reduce your costs by bidding less. When you bid less per click, you get less impression share. Your ads show less often versus your competitors, and your total revenue will come down. So maximizing revenue and maximizing ROAS are actually opposing goals in Google Ads. Pushing hard to get more of one will cause you to get less of the other. Enter the profit ROAS relationship, which looks a little something like this. It's essentially a bell curve. As you increase your ROAS target, profit will continue to increase as well up until a certain point. We call that point the ROAS sweet spot. After that point, your profit will actually go down. Now, looking at point A on this curve, in that case, the ROAS target is too low. When your ROAS target is too low, you get lots of volume and revenue. But because you are spending so much on ads at this point, you're making less profit than you could. Over on point B, on the other hand, here you are getting a great high return on ad spend. Your margins look much better here because your ad costs are kept down by the higher ROAS target. However, because your ROAS target went a little too high, your overall revenue volume came down. Now, once again, you are making less overall profit. So the question of finding the e-commerce Google Ads bidding strategy that maximizes profit is really a question of finding your ROAS sweet spot. At this point, I have some good news and some bad news. Bad news. There is absolutely no way to accurately predict what the ROAS sweet spot will be for your business. This is because it depends too much on factors outside of your control, such as total search volumes in the market and your competitors' bids. The good news is though that once you find the ROAS sweet spot, it generally doesn't change very much at all throughout the year, and you can just lock it in and then stop worrying about what ROAS target to aim for. In order to find your ROAS sweet spot, you simply have to do month over month ROAS target testing. If you are getting more than 50 conversions per month in your account, then I highly recommend you be using the Target ROAS automated bid strategy from Google. This will make the whole process a lot easier. What you want to do is, over the next 3 to 6 months, each month you test a different ROAS target, and then you see which one delivers the best profit levels. First, calculate your break-even ROAS. Here's how to do that. Take your profit margin as a percentage, then divide 1 by that percentage. So for example, if you make a 50% profit margin, then 1 divided by 0.5 is 2. So your break-even ROAS is 2x, or 200% in this case. Now that you know your break-even ROAS, you know what number you need to stay above at all times. As long as your target ROAS stays above your break-even ROAS, you are making profit on your ads. The question is, how far above your break-even does your target ROAS need to be to maximize profit? I would normally start by testing break-even plus 1. So if break-even is 2x, then the first ROAS target I would test is 3x. Let that ROAS target run for a full calendar month to make it easier to do year-on-year data comparisons. Now, as you move into month 2 of your test, select a new ROAS target to test. Break-even plus 0.5 or break-even plus 2. If your break-even is 2x, that means in month 2, you would either be testing a target ROAS of 2.5x or 4x. Keep repeating this process, trying a new ROAS target each calendar month. After the month ends, analyze your total profit. See how it's stacked up versus other months. It normally takes from 3 to 6 months of repeating this process to find your ROAS sweet spot. But once you have found it, lock it in. The ROAS sweet spot doesn't really move all that often once you have found it. A couple of things that may cause it to move are a big change in your products or margins, or a massive change to the competitor landscape. When I say a massive change to the competitor landscape, what this usually means is 1 to 3 huge competitors either entering or exiting the market for the first time. A minor change to the competitor landscape would be competitors updating their bid strategies, or prices, or landing page. These kinds of changes are too small to usually affect your ROAS sweet spot, so I wouldn't worry about them. But if a major competitor enters or exits the marketplace, then it might be worth retesting your ROAS sweet spot. Another factor that comes up sometimes is seasonality. If your business has some seasonality to it, you may be wondering if you need to find a different ROAS sweet spot for high versus low season. My observation from having run this process dozens of times with tens of millions of dollars of combined ad spend is that usually no, your ROAS sweet spot does not change when you enter or exit high season. Yeah, you will make more profit during high season, but you don't need to change your ROAS target because you will still maximize profit at the same target. Once you've figured out your ROAS sweet spot, it's time to lock it in and concentrate on other areas of the account. I do recommend retesting your ROAS sweet spot about once a year, but outside of that, the main benefit of this process is that once you have found the sweet spot that works best for you, you no longer need to worry about what ROAS target to aim for. Instead of worrying about that, you should now be focused on other more important areas of the account. You should be looking for ways to improve your ads, your shopping feed, your ad creative, and all that lovely stuff. Once you have a ROAS target locked in and it's using target ROAS bidding, then basically every improvement you make in the account is going to eventually show up as improved overall sales volume, thanks to the automated bid strategies always working to adjust CPC bids to bring in your target ROAS. In summary, higher ROAS is not always better in Google Ads. The e-commerce Google Ads bidding strategy that maximizes profit is to do testing for a number of months to see which ROAS target actually maximizes your profit. Once you have found that sweet spot, lock it in and then focus on improving all the other areas of your account. Your bottom line will thank you for this decision later down the line. If you want to get more tips and tricks on running incredibly profitable e-commerce Google Ads campaigns, then subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button now. I release 2 to 4 videos like this per month. And if you would like to work with me, then head over to bigflair.com and get in touch with me there. Messages you send through our website will actually come directly to my personal inbox, so don't worry, you are indeed talking directly to me. You don't want to be scratching my face halfway through, let's do that again. Scratch. Entering or I don't know what this bit is. Then subscribe, campaign, nope, plural, something.